The fact that they didn't follow me at once into the house, as many one else would have done, seemed to me to show that they have some sense of shame left. They haven't eaten muffins that look like repeatings. They don't seem to notice us at all. Couldn't you cough? But I haven't a cough. They are looking at us. What effrontery. They are approaching. That's very forward of them. Let us preserve a dignified silence. Certainly, it is the only thing to do now. Dignified silence seems to produce an unpleasant effect, a most distasteful one. But we will not be the first to speak. Certainly not. Mr. Worthing, I have something very particular to ask you. Much depends on your reply. Gwendolen, your common sense is invaluable. Mr. Moncrief, kindly answer me the following question. Why did you pretend to be my guardian's brother? In order that I may have an opportunity of meeting you. That certainly seems a satisfactory explanation, does it not? Yes, dear, if you can believe him. I don't, but does not affect the wonderful beauty of his answer. True, it matters of great importance, style, not sincerity. It is the vital thing, Mr. Worthing. What explanation can you offer to me for pretending to have a brother? Was it in order that you may have an opportunity of coming up to town to see me as often as possible? Can you doubt it, Mr. Fairfax? I have the greatest doubts upon the subject, but I intend to crush them. This is not the moment for German scepticism. The explanations appear to be quite satisfactory, especially Mr. Worthing's. That seems to me to have the stamp of truth upon it. I'm more than content with what Mr. Moncrief said. His voice alone inspires one with absolute credibility. Then, you think we should forgive them?
Yes, I mean no. Truth, I have forgot that there are principles of the state that one cannot surrender. Which of us should tell them? The tax is not a pleasant one. Could we not both speak at the same time? An excellent idea. I nearly always speak at the same time as other people do. Will you take the time for me? Certainly. And Cecily, your Christian names are still unsuperable. That is all. Oh, Christian names. Is that all? We are going to be Christian this afternoon. For my sake, are you prepared to do this terrible thing? I am. To please me, are you ready to face this fearful ordeal? I am. How absurd to talk about equality of sexes in questions of self-sacrifice where are concerned. Men are infinitely beyond us. We are. They have moments of physical courage of which we women know absolutely nothing. Darling! Lady Bracknell. Good heaven! Gwendolen, what does this mean? Merely that I am engaged to be married to Mr. Worthing, Mamma. Come on, sit here immediately. Hesitation of any kind is a sign of mental decay in young, a greenness in old. Appreciate, sir, of my daughter's sudden flight by her trusty maid, whose confidence I purchased by means of a small coin. I followed her at once by a luggage train. Her unhappy father is, I'm glad to say, under the impression that she is attending to an unusual lecture of the university on the influence of a permanent income of thought. I do not propose to undecide him. Indeed, I have never undecided him. I would consider it wrong. But of course, you will clearly understand that all communication between yourself and my tower will must stop immediately from now. I am engaged to be married to Gwendolen, Lady Bracknell. You are nothing of the kind, sir. And now, as regards Algernon?
Yes, Aunt Augusta?
May I ask if it is in this house that your invalid friend Mr. Bunbury resides?
Oh no, Bunbury doesn't live here. Bunbury is somewhere else at present. In fact, Bunbury is dead.
Dead? When did Mr. Bunbury die? His death must have been extremely sudden.
I killed Bunbury this afternoon. I mean, poor Bunbury died this afternoon.
What did he die of?
Bunbury? Oh, he was quite exploded.
Exploded? Was he the victim of a revolutionary outrage? I was not aware that Mr. Bunbury was interested in social legislation. If so, he is well punished for his morbidity.
My dear Aunt Augusta, I mean, he was found out. The doctors found out that Bunbury could not live. That is what I mean, so Bunbury died.
He seems to have had a great confidence in the opinion of his physicians. I am glad, however, that he made up his mind at the last to some definite course of action and acted under proper medical advice. And now that we have finally got rid of this, Mr. Bunbury, may I ask, Mr. Worthing, who is that young person whose hand my nephew Algernon is now holding in what seems to me a peculiarly unnecessary manner?
That lady is Miss Cecily Cardew, my guard.
I am engaged to be married with Cecily.
I beg your pardon? Mr. Moncrief and I are engaged to be married. I do not know whether there is anything peculiarly exciting in the air of this particular part of Herefordshire, but the number of engagements that go on seems to me considerably above to the proper average that the statistics lay down for our guidance. I think some preliminary inquiry wouldn't be out of place. Mr. Watt, is Mrs. Cardew at all connected with any of the larger railway stations in London? I merely desire information. Until yesterday, I had no idea that there were families or persons whose origin was a terminus. Miss Cardew is the granddaughter of the late Mr. Thomas Cardew of 149 Belfry Square, SW, Jervis Park, Dorking and Surrey, and the sporron of the 5-shire BN. That sounds not unsatisfactory. Their addresses always inspire confidence, even in tradesmen, but what proof have I of their authenticity? I have carefully preserved the court guides of the period. They are open to your inspection, Lady Bracknell. I have known strange errors in that publication. Miss Cardew's family solicitors are Messrs. Markby, and Markby.
Markby, and Markby. A firm of the very highest position in their profession. Indeed, I am told that one of them, Mr. Markby, is occasionally to be seen in one of the dinners parties. So far, I am satisfied. How extremely kind of you, Lady Bracknell. I have also in my possession, you will be pleased to hear, certificates of Miss Cardew's birth, baptisms, whooping cough, registration, vaccination, confirmation, and the measles, both the German and the English variety. A life crowded with incident, I see, though perhaps somewhat too exciting for a young girl. I am not myself in favor of premature experiences. Gwendolen, the time approached for our departure. We have not a moment to lose. As a matter of form, Mr. Worthing, I had better ask you if Miss Cardew has any little fortune. Oh, about 130,000 pounds in the funds. That is all. Goodbye, Lady Bracknell. So pleased to have seen you. And Mr. Worthing, 130,000 pounds and in the funds? Miss Cardew seems to me a most attractive young lady now that I look at her. Few girls of the present days have any really solid quality, any of the qualities that last and improve with time. We live, I regret to say it, in an age of surfaces. Come over here, dear. Pretty child, your dress is sadly simple. It seems almost as nature might have left it. But we can soon alter all that. Truly experienced French maid produces a really marvelous result in a very brief space of time. I remember recommending one to young lady Lansing. After 3 months, her own husband did not know her.
And after 6 months, nobody knew her. Kindly turn around, sweet child. No, the view side is what I want. Yes, quite as I expected. There are distinct social possibilities in your profile. The two weak points in our age are its want of principle and its want of profile. The chin higher there, style naturally depends on the way the chin is worn. They are worn very high just at present, Algernon. Yes, Aunt Augusta. There are distinct social possibilities in Miss Curtis' profile. Cecily is the sweetest, dearest, prettiest girl in the whole world. I don't care twopence about social possibilities. Never speak disrespectfully of society, Algernon. Only people who can't get into it do that. Dear child, of course you know Algernon has nothing but his debts to depend upon. But I do not approve mercenary marriages. When I married Lord Bracknell, I had no fortune of any kind, but I never dreamed of allowing that to stand in my way. Well, I suppose I must give my consent. Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
Cecily, you may kiss me.
Thank you, Lady Bracknell.
You may also address me as Aunt Augusta for the future.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
The marriage, I think, had better take place quite soon. Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
To speak frankly, I'm not in favor of long engagements. They give people the opportunity of finding out each other's character before marriage, which I think is never advisable.
I beg your pardon for interrupting you, Lady Bracknell, but this engagement is quite out of the question. I am Miss Cardew's guardian, and she cannot marry without my consent until she comes of age. That consent I absolutely decline to give.
Upon what grounds, may I ask? Algernon is an extremely, I may almost say an ostentatiously eligible young man. He has nothing, but he looks everything. What more can one desire?
It pains me very much to have to speak frankly to you, Lady Bracknell, about your nephew. But the fact is I don't approve at all of his moral character. I suspect him of being untruthful.
Untruthful? My nephew Algernon? Impossible! He's an Oxonian.
I fear there can be no possible doubt about the matter. This afternoon, during my temporary absence in London on an important question of romance, he obtained admission to my house by means of the false pretense of being my brother. Under an assumed name, he drank, I've just been informed by my butler, an entire pint bottle of my Perrier Jouet Broad 89, a wine I was especially reserving for myself.
Continuing his disgraceful deception, he succeeded in the course of the afternoon in alienating the affections of my only ward. He subsequently stayed to tea at about every single muffin. And what makes his conduct all the more heartless is that he was perfectly well aware from the first I have no brother, that I never had a brother, and I don't intend to have a brother, not even of any kind. I distinctly told him so myself yesterday afternoon.
Mr. Worthing, after careful consideration, I have decided entirely to overlook my nephew's conduct to you. That is very generous of you, my Lady Bracknell. My own decision, however, is unalterable. I decline to give my consent. Come here, sweet child, and tell me, how old are you, dear? Well, I am really only 18, but I always admit to 20 when I go to evening parties. You are perfectly right in making some slight alteration. Indeed, I think that no woman should ever be accurate about her age. It looks so calculating. 18, but admitting to 20 at evening parties. Well, it will not be very long before you are of age and free from the restraints of tutelage. So, I don't think your guardians consented, after all, a matter of any importance.
Pray excuse me, Lady Bracknell, for interrupting you again. But it is only fair to tell you that according to the terms of her grandfather's will, Miss Cardew does not legally the of age till she is 35. Does not seem to me to be a grave objection. 35 is an attractive age. London society is full of women of the very highest birth who have of their own free choice remained 35 for years. Lady Dumbledon is an interesting point. To my knowledge, she has been like 30 years ever since she arrived at the age of 40, which was many years ago now. I see no reason why our dear Cecily should not be even more attractive at the age you mentioned that she is at present. There will be a large accumulation of property. Aldi, could you wait for me till I was 35? Of course I could, Cecily, you know, I could. Yes, I felt it instinctively, but I couldn't wait all the time. I hate waiting even 5 minutes for anybody. It always makes me rather cross. I'm not punctual myself, I know, but I do like punctuality in others. And waiting even to be married is quite out of the question. Then, what is to be done, Cecily? I don't know, Mr. Moncrief. My dear Mr. Worthing, as Miss Cardew states positively that she cannot wait till she's 35, a remark which I am bound to say seems to me to be a show of somehow impatient nature. I will beg you of to reconsider your decision. But my dear Lady Bracknell, the matter is entirely on your own hands. The moment you consent to my marriage with Gwendolyn, I will gladly allow your nephew to form an alliance with my guard. Then a passionate celibacy is all that any of us can look forward to. That is not the destiny I propose for Gwendolyn. Algernon, of course, can choose for himself. Come on, dear. We have already missed 5, if not 6 trains. To miss any more might expose us to comment on the platform.
Everything is quite ready for the christenings. The christening, sir, is not that somewhat premature? But both these gentlemen have expressed a desire of immediate baptism. At their age, the idea is grotesque and irreligious. Algernon, I forbid you to be baptized. I will not hear such of excesses. Lord Bracknell would be highly displeased if he learned that that was the way in which you wasted your time and money. Am I to understand then that there are to be no christenings at all this afternoon? I don't think that, as things are now, it would be of much practical value for either of us, Mr. Chasable. I am glad to hear such sentiments from you, Mr. Worthing. The savor of the ethical views of the Anabaptism, the views that I have refuted in 4 of my unpublished sermons. However, as your present mood seems to be one particularly secular, I will return to the church at once. Miss Prism? Did I hear you mention a Miss Prism? Yes, Lady Bracknell. I'm on my way to join her. Pray allow me to detain you for a moment. This matter may prove to be of vital importance to Lord Bracknell and myself. Is the Miss Prism a female of repellent aspect that is remotely connected with education? She is the most cultivated of ladies and the very picture of respectability. It is obviously the same person. May I ask what position she holds in your household? I am a celibate maid. Miss Prism, Lady Bracknell, has been for the last 3 years Miss Cardew's esteemed governess and valued companion. In spite of what I hear from her, I must see her at once. Let her be sent for.
I was told you expected me in the vestry, dear Canon. I have been waiting for there for an hour of 3/4. Prince, Prince, come here. Where is the baby? 28 years ago, Prince, you left Lord Barker Street, number 104, Upper Governors Street, in charge of a perambulator that contained a baby of the male sex. You never returned. A few weeks later, through the elaborate investigation of the Metropolitan Police, the perambulator was discovered at midnight, standing by itself a remote corner of the baby's sweater. It contains the manuscript of the 3-volume novel of more than usually revolting sentimentality. But the baby was not there. Prince, where is the baby? Lady Bracknell, I admit wish sham that I don't know. I only wish I did. The plain facts of the case are this. On the morning of the day you mentioned, a day that before forever branded. On my memory, I prepared as I usual to take the baby out in its perambulator. I had also with my somewhat all, but capacious hat handbag in which I had intended to place the manuscript of a work of fiction that I had written during my few unoccupied hours. In a moment of mental abstraction for which I never can forgive myself, I deposited the manuscript in the bassinet and placed the baby in the handbag.
But where did you deposit the handbag? Do not ask me, Mr. Worthing. Miss Prince, This is a matter of not small importance to me. I insist on knowing where you deposited the handbag that contained that infant. I left it in the cloakroom of one of the larger railway stations in London. What railway station? Victoria, the Brighton line. I must retire to my room for a moment. Gwendolyn will hear for me. If you are not too long, I will wait here for you all my life. What do you think this means, Lady Bracknell? I dare not even suspect, Dr. Chasuble. I need hardly tell you that in families of high position, strange considered are not supposed to occur. They are hardly considered the thing.
Uncle Jack seems extremely agitated. Your guardian has a very emotional nature. This noise is extremely unpleasant. It sounds as if we were having an argument. I dislike arguments of any kind. They are always unpleasant, they are vulgar, and often convincing. It is stopped now. I wish it could arrive to some conclusion. This suspense is terrible. I hope it will last. This is the handbag, Miss Prison. Examine it carefully before you speak. Remember, the happiness of one of more life depends on your answer. It seems to be mine. Yeah, here is the injury it received throughout the upsetting of a Waver Street omnibus in younger and happier days. And here is the stain on the linen caused by the explosion of a temperance beverage, an incident that occurred at the ignition. And here, on the log, are my initials. I had forgotten that in extravagant mood I had them placed there. The bag is undoubtedly mine. I am delighted to have it. It is so unexpectedly restored to me. It has been great inconvenience being without it all these days.
Miss Prison, we restored that this handbag. I was the child you placed in it. You? Yes, mother. Mr. Warren, I am unmarried. I'm married. I do not deny that is serious blow. But after all, who has the right to cast a stone against one who has suffered? Can a repentance wipe out an act of folly? Why should be there one right for men and another for women? Mother, I forgive you. Mr. Worthing, there is some error. There is the woman who can tell you who you really are. Lady Bracknell, I hate to seem inquisitive, but will you kindly inform me who I am? I'm afraid that the news I have to give you will not also please you. You are the son of my pure sister, Miss Moncrief, and consequently, Alice's elder brother. Alice's elder brother? Then I have a brother after all. I knew I had a brother. I always said I had a brother. Cecily, how could you have ever doubted that I have a brother? Jeez. Joseph, my unfortunate brother. Miss Prince, my unfortunate brother. Gwendolyn, my unfortunate brother. Algie, you young scoundrel. You have to treat me with more respect in the future. You have never behaved me like a brother in all your life.
Well, not till today, old boy, I admit. I did my best. However, though I was out of practice. My own, but what own are you? I cannot at the present moment recall what the general's Christmas name was. But I have no doubt he had one. He was eccentric, I admit, but only in later years. That was the result of the Indian climate and marriage, and of course indigestion and other things of kind. Then I was christened. That is settled. Now, what name was I given? Let me know the worst. I never change, except my affections. What a noble nature you have, Wendell. Then the question had better be cleared up at once. On Augusta, a moment, at the time when Miss Prims left me in a handbag, I had been christened already. Every luxury that money could buy, including christening, had been lavished on your own throne of doting Paris. Good heavens, I had quite forgotten that point. Your decision on the subject of my name is irrevocable, I suppose. Being the eldest son, you were naturally christened, offered your father.
Algie, can you recollect what our father's Christian name was? My dear boy, we were never even on speaking terms. He died before I was a year old. His name would appear in the army list of the period, I suppose, on Augusta? Do you know was essentially a man of peace? It said his domestic life, but I have no doubt his name will appear in any military directory. Oh, the army list of the last 40 years are here. This delightful record should have been my constant study. Mr. Generals, Madam Masmon Maker. What a ghastly names they have. Marksman Miss B. Mops, Hopgrave, Lieutenant, 1840, Captain, Lieutenant Colonel, Colonel General, 1869. Ernest? Ernest? I always told you, Gwendolyn. My name was Ernest, didn't I? Well, it is Ernest after all. I mean, it naturally is Ernest. Yes. I remember that the general was called Ernest. I knew I had some particular reason for disliking the name. Ernest, my own Ernest. I felt from the first that you could have no other name. Gwendolyn, it is a terrible thing for a man to find out suddenly that all his life he has been speaking nothing but the truth. Can you forgive me? I can, for I feel that you are sure to change. My own one. Leticia! Frederick! At last! Cecily, at last. Gwendolyn, at last. My nephew, you seem to be displaying signs of triviality. On the contrary, on Augusta, I now realize for the first time in my life the vital importance of being earnest.